Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Paper Princess, and we are going to get started on a new project today. This video will be making the base album for it, and I'll just go over real quick what you need. You're going to need some chipboard. I use 90-point chipboard. It's I think it's considered a medium weight, but it's a little thicker than other medium weight chipboards I've seen out there. So maybe just when you do your search, put in 90-point. But I used an 8.5 by 11-inch stack, and since the book is 8.5 by 7.5, I just had to cut one side. So I cut 3.5 inches off of the 11-inch side. So you'll need that. I like to use a ruler that has 1/16 of an inch measurements. If you don't have one, I will tell you how many lines past a half or past a quarter if it comes to that. So, you know, it's nice to have, but I will go over all that with you. You need a piece of Tyvek. I got this from the post office. It's just a USPS envelope. I do use score tape. I use a nice 2-inch roll. You can get 2-3 inches just when you make the book. Otherwise, you're going to use a lot of your little, tape. So it's nice to have at least one roll for when you make the album base. So that's a 2-inch one. This is 3/8 inch. We'll use this on the hinge and throughout the book. I also use book binding tape for the corners where the front cover and the spine meet and the back cover and the spine meet, so when you bend it, the paper doesn't crack. So this is, just do a search for book binding tape. I got this on Amazon. This is 1.5 inches. 1.5 or 2 inches would work. I use, throughout the book, I'm using 80-pound cardstock because it's a nice weight for making books. And this American Crafts has a nice linen side, so it's real nice. So I like 80-pound. 60 you can get away with. 100 is way too thick. I do use 100 for the pullouts between pages. So if you want to get a stack of 8.5 by 11 black 100-pound, they sell that, I believe, at Michael's. You can use it for the pullouts, but throughout the book, I'm using 80-pound. And, tape, glue, and a scoreboard, bone folder, and all that. So let's get started here. First thing you'll need to do is cut your chipboard. So you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard at 8.5 by 7.5. Now this book, the 8.5 side goes across horizontally and the 7.5 is vertically. So just make sure when you cut this and you fold it, this is stiff. If it goes this way, it's a little wobbly. You went the wrong way. So if you're using 12 by 12, just make sure that when you lay it out landscape, where the 8.5, the longer side's going across the top, that when you fold it, it's stiff. Same thing with your spine. So this is 7.5, because that's the vertical measurement, by 3 3/4. So it's a nice thick spine. And if you have a piece of leftover, just cut a 3 by 4 piece, and that's going to be decoration for the cover. So we can cut that, set that aside for the end when we make our cover. I always make the cover at the end, so it's not laying on our surface. It gets all glue spots on it or whatever. So first thing we need to do is cut our tie back. And what I do is I take my chipboard and I basically just want, maybe 1.5 inches. Yeah, 1.5 inches or so on either side. I'll put a pencil mark and just maybe a smidge at the top and bottom. Okay. This folds over, so I'm just going to trim that a little. So I have to deal with that. Okay. Now, let's take our chipboard and we're going to pull out our cardstock. And what I want to do first is just lay this out on here before any glue is on here and just see how much room I have. So I know I'm going to use 2 pieces of 12 by 12, but I found that when I make a 3 3/4 inch spine, it's not quite enough room. So if I just had my 12 by 12 here, and I have my chipboard, whoops, I want to have about at least bare minimum of an inch, but preferably an 1.5 inches. And what I like to do, the easiest thing, is to use the width of my ruler, which is about 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. So I use that. My spine here. So as you can see, there's just not enough room. So what I have found is I will take a piece of 12 by 4 and I'm going to put that in the middle. So what we're going to do is score 1/2 inch on each side and just put this right in the middle, and that will give us the length that we need. Now, when we lay this on here, you notice there's an awful lot of room at the top, and we just don't need that much room. So before I go scoring and placing this down, I want to make sure I know how much I'm going to cut across the top. So just going to lay this out here, give me an idea. Got my ruler at the bottom and the top, and I can see that I'm going to have to cut off about 1 inch. So let's see, this would be 1.25 inches. So let's cut off 1.25 inches on all our pieces. And 1.25 inches. And 1.25 inches off of our 4-inch piece. Okay. Measure twice, cut once kind of rule going on. So let me just lay this out here again. Make sure that looks good. So, where's my ruler? Looks good. Okay, so 1.25 inches was correct. So let's take our 4-inch piece and score vertically on both sides. And when I score, I have my textured side underneath, and I'm going to have the smooth side up top. And 1/2 inch. Okay, we will take our 3/8 inch, and on the textured side is where I'm going to put the tape. I have a little tear tool that I made. It's just a piece of plexiglass, and I put a foam dot right there. Or you could just, you know, use scissors if you don't have it, if you don't want to tear it like that. Okay, so let's press this down. And then we're going to fold one side. Okay, so now we are going to take one of our 12 by 12 pieces, put the short side facing the top, the part we just cut off. This middle piece is right here. And what I'm going to do is just put it right on top, above, and make sure it's lined up on either side. And I'm going to take off this backing. Okay, and then I'm going to just make sure that there's no table showing, and then I'll know the two pieces of paper are butted right up against each other. And just, I'm going to press down one corner, just like that. Walk myself over to here, press down the other side, and then flatten it out. Okay, now the other side, I think we're just gonna have to lay this paper right on top. Okay, so this side is the textured side. Take this off. This side is textured, and I'm gonna just use my score line as a guide. I'm not going to cover the score line, or certainly I'm not going to go past it, but I'm going to go right up to it and press down one side, and then move on over to the end here and press that down. Okay, and now we have a nice big long piece of cardstock, and let's just move this aside for now, and we need to cover our chipboard with tape. So I've got my two pieces here, and I'm going to take a nice big roll, either 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, something, and just cover it. Now, this is too big to use the tear tool. So what I usually do is just turn it over and take my scissors and just cut. One piece down. Let's see how much we have. That 4 inches is going to be too much. I'll use my 2-inch, just because I can control it better. My next roll, I think, is going to be a 3-inch. I'll keep the 2-inch and get a 3-inch. This 4-inch I found was a little too tough sometimes to manage. So you can either just fill this last little bit with your smaller tape, or you can just cut this. And what I'm going to do is cut this little, looks like about a 1/2 inch, and I can always use that. I know I'm going to have to use that, so I will just cut this and leave it aside. Okay, just gonna stick that over here real quick. And always what you want to do is you want to press this down because it doesn't fully stick. until you really press it down. Get all the bubbles out. Okay, set that aside. And let's do our spine. And I'm putting my hand in here, I don't know if you noticed, but it gives me a lot of control over the tape. So you can give that a try if you want to. And yeah, I'm gonna have another little piece to cut off. Okay, I will use that again at some point. Press this down. Okay, and our last piece. I'll use some of this big. Want every little bit of this covered. I'll take my 1/2-inch piece that I saved from that first cover, put that down, take the 1/4-inch piece. Well, I won't use the 1/4-inch piece. It's not long enough. Use them. So let me find my 3/8 inch. And I have 1/4 inch over here. So all our spaces are covered. Okay, now we need to cover our tie back. just put a couple pieces on here. And if this last little bit isn't covered, that's okay. It's not as important over here as it is on the chipboard. Okay, now let's bring back a big piece. What I could do is actually use my little 1/4 inch piece. That'll work. There. Okay. So let's draw lines on here because we do not want to lay our chipboard on here crooked. So what we're going to need to do is take a ruler and I'm going to take a pencil. Move everything out of the way real quick. Here we go. And I'm just going to, I like the width of this ruler, so I can just lay the ruler flat across the bottom and draw a line across. If you don't have this, you can just take it. It's going to be about 1.5 inches, and you can draw little pencil marks at 1.5 inches in several locations and then connect the dots. But if you have a nice 1.5 inch ruler, that'd be nice. But minimum you need 1 inch. Okay, and I need the same drawn on the side. Basically, I really just need to get an intersection point right here. So I don't have to go around the whole thing. So I'm looking for, here's my, I'm looking for this intersection right here with the 2 lines. That's where, oops, that's where my end of my front cover is going to go, and the rest will fall into place. So let me just lay this out because we need to first put down the tie back. I just need to see where this is going real quick. One thing I need to mention is for the space in between, what you do is you take 2 leftover pieces of your chipboard. So whatever thickness you use, 2 of those, tape them together, and that will be used to put our space in here. So this is how it's gonna look. Okay, and before I tape anything down, I see here, I don't need quite this much at the end. So let's just draw a line. I can even push it out just a smidge just in case. And I'm gonna cut this before I get started. Much easier to cut when there's not chipboard attached to it. And it turned out to be about 2 1/4 inches that we cut off. 2 1/4, 2.5 inches that we cut off. All right, so we have our pieces. This is gonna go in the middle right here. And this Tyvek is gonna go under the spine. So I'm gonna just lay it on top like this. I'm gonna make a little pencil mark over here, and that's where I would put it. So let's see if I'm actually gonna go this way. Okay. So put a little pencil mark here, and that's what we're gonna put down first. So So I'm going to take this piece of Tyvek and put it right here where I put the pencil mark. Okay. Now I have a, this is from Creative Memories, and it's just a tool to help peel off the back tape backing. You can also use a Cricut. They have like a little pick tool. I have a little poker to make holes for brads. You can use that too. If you have good nails, you can use those. Okay, so here we go. I'm right at the bottom line here. Whoops. Be careful, it has a mind of its own. Here's my pencil mark. That's where the edge is going. The bottom is going across this bottom line, and I will put it down. Okay. All right, so let's bring in our chipboard. The first one is the most important because that makes everything else line up. So what I'm going to do here, I'm making sure I got my stiff side. The 8.5 is across the top. Now when you're laying this down, this is like at a 90-degree angle because I don't want to accidentally have it stick. This stuff is very sticky and hard to get off. You can, but you don't want to rip your paper. So what I'm going to do is very carefully line this up so the corner of this chipboard is at my intersection point right here. And I'm going to have it at the angle so nothing really sticks down except the little piece on the edge. So, okay, it's lined up along this pencil mark on the side here, and it's lined up across the bottom, and I'm going to gently just place it down. There, it is down. It's straight. Having the intersection here really helps. So I know that's good. I'm going to press it down. Okay, now my spine piece, I will take off the backing. Now I'm going to take my spacer that I made, put that up against the edge here. I'm going to take this spine piece, same thing, at an angle I'm holding it. I don't want it to prematurely stick to the paper. And I'm going to put it right across this bottom pencil mark. I'm looking at the bottom of the spine, bottom of the pencil mark. I'm looking at my spacer here. I don't see any Tyvek or anything sticking out, so I know it's flush against my front cover. And I'm going to gently place that down. There. Okay. Now we have our back cover. Little runaway piece here, no problem. Okay. All right, now let's take our spacer again, hold it against this spine piece, put this at an angle, 90 degrees, and pressed right up against, and it looks like, you know, I'm lined up right with this pencil mark on the bottom. One. Okay. There, and I will save this little spacer for other projects. And let's press this down. Okay, we are well on our way now. All right. So now, what we're going to do is I want to make a little pencil mark in my edges, my corners here. We're going to put tape all around, but after that, after we put the tape, we're going to cut our corners. So what I use is this little miter tool, and if you don't have one, there's a way around it, so just watch and I will show you what I'm talking about. This is from colorwaysarts.com, and it's just a miter tool, and basically what I want is this little 1/8 of an inch right there. So if I put this down here, I can just draw a little line, and that's the angle where I need to cut after I put the tape. If you don't have this, you can take your ruler and just hold it at the corner, and just make sure there's about 1/8 of an inch right between this corner and here. And what you can do, see, I'll do it on this corner that I didn't do yet. 1/8 of an inch is 2 lines. So I can hold this like this and go 2 lines in and put a little line right there, and then take my ruler right here and draw my line. So if you don't have that miter tool, you can still do it. But since I make so many books, I went ahead and purchased it. But you can also use a ruler. Okay, so now let's take our 3/4 inch tape, and I am going to tape all across the bottom and around, and then we're going to tape the edges of our chipboards. So let's start with the bottom. Actually, don't have to go all the way to the end, but I do want to make sure the tape is within this corner. You can guess what we're going to do next. Let's press this tape down so we make sure it sticks to our chipboard. All right, and then we're going to tape right along the bottom of the chipboard. And now we're going to cut all our corners. And this way, by taping it first, we know that every bit, the tape goes right up to the end of the corner. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing is wrapping our chipboard with this paper. So before I lift up, I want to just get the paper used to being bent right there. So let's just take it like this. Do the edges. The other edge. Okay. All right, so now we're going to start with the top and bottom and then do the sides. And before you do the sides, we do have to tuck in our corners, so I will show you that. So let's just do the bottom first. Take away the backing on just the bottom part. Okay, and we're going to start in the middle and just roll our hand from the table and just roll it up. And just do it again over here. You can even go like at an angle like this. Table right across the top. And if there's anything wrinkly, do not worry, because this bone folder will take out any of the wrinkles and we'll have a nice crisp edge. All right. Okay. In the middle right here, I'm just going to gently press right where this folds, right in these two crease lines. There. All right, let's turn her over and do the top. I've got a wastebasket full of tape backing now. Okay, let's start in the middle again and just roll up. Okay, take out any wrinkles or bubbles. Okay, now I'm going to just press in a little bit right at this fold. So see, it's already going to fold real nice. Okay, and now for the sides. So pick a side, any side. I'm going to start on the right here. Piece of that tape came pulled back. Okay, so I'm going to take my bone folder, and if I were to just fold this side over, there'd be a little pointed piece sticking out on my corners, and I don't really want that. So I have to take this corner and just sort of fold it in with this bone folder. I'm just pressing the paper in the same as if you're wrapping a present. when you get to the ends, you fold it in and then you pull up your side. So like that, just press this in. There we go. And then I can take it and just, I don't like the way that's, hold on. It's not quite folded in. Okay, and then I'm gonna, all right. And then the other side. If ever you don't like your corners, they do sell, and even if you do like them, just for decoration, they do sell metal corner pieces you can fit. I think they're made by Tim Holtz, and you press them in, so you can do that too. It might look good on this book, actually. I may do that. Okay, and just fold that over. And there we go. Coming right along. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my bookbinding tape, and I'm just going to cover these spaces here and go all the way around to here. This is the spine of the book. If I were to just leave it plain, this paper gets a lot of wear and tear. So this cloth tape is going to make your edges look really nice, and it will prevent any damage. So what you do for this, let's get my tape started. I do not want to start at the top because then I'm going to see the end of the tape. I'm going to pull it down to at least an inch and put it right in the middle of this, where the line, the fold is right in the middle of the tape. So I'm going to run my hands along here, turn over the book, and just keep it going. Just keep it straight. You can follow this little line right here as a guide. Comes around and just come right back to where you started and cut. Now you won't see it. All right. Let's do the same thing to this side. Roll that over. Okay, I'm going to cut this. All right. All right, so now we have our book. You'll see we have just a little piece showing right here. In the back, this spine looks like a mess because you can see the line here, but do not worry, we are going to cover this up with design paper. And then there's a little piece in the back, and then this is going to be covered up also. So you'll just see a little bit of your cloth tape when all said and done. Now some people, when they make a book, if you've seen some posted out there online, there's some dangly charms on a chain. If you were to do that, if you decide you want to do that, you can take a crocodile or a hole punch that could punch through cardstock, put it right over here, and then they sell these little loops, And you would put that in before you start making the book. So you can decide that now if that's what you like. And then the next step is making the hinge. So I do not have the license to teach you to make the hinge, but I will tell you where to go. And a lot of you may already know how to make it, but it's the hidden hinge system. And I usually, so my book is 7.5 this way. I like a 1/2 inch at the top and bottom. So the paper that you cut to make your hinge is going to be 6.5 inches vertically. And then you make fold lines in there to make your hinge. And a lot of people use 1/2 inch, but I have found I use a lot of pockets and flaps, and the book gets thick awfully quick. I like 3/4 of an inch. So however you learn to make this, when you go to the website, I will tell you it's paperphenomenon.com. Kathy King is the one who invented the hidden hinge system. So it is on their tutorial how to make it. But however it's taught, a lot of people use 1/2, use 3/4 for this book. And for a lot of my books, 3/4 works better. So I'm going to go make that. And when we come back, we'll have the hinge right in here. And we can get started making the pocket pages. So I will see you in the next video.